is for women. This is our 4th year. For more information and other offerings, please visit zenfulconversations.com. My name is Zen Jen Brown, and I am your host today, and we're here with our beautiful guest speaker, Donna Ashworth. Donna, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, it's so lovely. I come and see people's faces as well. It's such a treat.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Let me give you a little bit about Donna. I'm sure all of you know who she is. We actually read a lot of your words in the groups that I do. A little bit about Donna. Donna Ashworth is a mother of 2 boys who lives happily in the hills of Bonnie, Scotland. By day, you'll find her riding, walking, or eating, or simply spending time with her family, friends, and dogs. A lover of all things joyful and a big believer in the power of laughter and fun, Donna very much believes life is for the living and not for the enduring. If she could choose one sentence to pass on, it would be eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow is promised to no one. Donna, you inspire me, and I am certain that you inspire everybody here. Thank you again for agreeing to be with us.
It's a real pleasure.
Do you just want to say something, or do you want me to ask you a couple questions? How would you like to have this proceed today?
It's entirely up to you. How would you like it to proceed? I'm happy to answer any questions that you may want to ask me.
Well, we're gonna definitely open it up to the ladies that are with us today in a bit, but let me just see if I can understand how this all happened to you. Your first poem, your first book, if I have it, where's my books? Is History Will Remember. Yes, I have all of the 4 books. We read them often. History Will Remember When the World Stopped is your first book. And so that is your first internet splash poem?
Yeah. So I started writing poetry maybe about a year before that book. I mean, I have always written. I have always written something, mostly songwriting in my younger years. And then I ran a magazine for a few years. So I was writing sort of typical articles about health and, you know, interviewing people and so on. The poetry began around about 2018, and I started off a group on Facebook to sort of spread a bit of positivity, and it quite quickly built up, and I started becoming a little bit more brave with each sort of month that passed, and started to share a little bit deeper. And then the pandemic hit, and that was an opportunity to really go, how am I going to get through this? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw myself into trying to help other people get through it with words, because we all flocked to the internet, didn't we? We all flocked there to go, what do we do? We can't see anyone. So it became so important to communicate online. It was all we had. And so that was what pushed me to pop out the first book, because I thought we've got an opportunity here. I say we, I mean me. The lockdown had finished, and I thought I have to get this collection of poems that I wrote in the lockdown out there as a memory thing, because quite soon we'll be back to normal and nobody will think back to the lockdown. And of course, I didn't know then that was stage 1 of a very long time period. I thought that was going to be it. So that book encapsulates the first 3 months of lockdown. It came out in the July. I could have tripled it with the stuff that I wrote afterwards and the different phases that we all went through. So I think as soon as I saw that the people who followed me did actually buy the book, because everybody said, if you wrote a book, I would buy it. And they actually did buy it. So, their word was as good as their bond. So that made me think, okay, I'm going to gather all the other stuff that I've written that I know everybody enjoyed, and I'm going to pop it all. And that was To the Women. So To the Women followed only 2 months after.
Ah,
History will remember, because the stuff was already there. It was sitting in my, in my laptop waiting to do something. So yeah, that's how it began.
that's really, really fascinating. And I remember, I do remember the beauty. In fact, that's how I started my Elan presence, was
Yeah,
during that time period, because I was doing yoga and meditation at yoga studios. And then, yeah, so I just took it to the internet and said, let me at least keep my ladies going. Let's
yeah,
at least keep it going. It won't be that long. Keep the community going. And then, yeah, but yeah, it has changed quite a bit. Since that, I almost even forgot about that beautiful part of how
yeah,
we all connected with each other when it first happened, because it did change.
yeah, it did. And
Because, because it changed.
we went through a real bonding phase of kindness and solidarity, didn't we? We'll get each other
Yeah,
through this, we said, and everyone did everything for free, and
right.
everybody came on and said, whatever anybody needs, I'm here, and everybody did something.
Yeah,
And it one of those really amazing things to behold, how the world showed up for each other in that time. And I've always been a real big picture kind of a person, so I tend to see the big picture above the immediate picture. I always have. So for me, it was fascinating to watch the world turn. And that was the poem History Will Remember When the World Stopped. And I wrote that poem just one day in lockdown. I wrote something every day. And that one went what they call viral. So it went all over the world, and it was featured in, I think the count now is about 2008 yearbooks in America. It was on the national curriculum in
oh wow.
England. It was recorded by celebrities and the NHS, and a lot of medical staff in America made videos reciting it. So that was my first real experience of something that I had written that could actually make a little mark on the world. So it gave me an incredible sense of purpose that really helped me through that. And I volunteered, and I did shopping for my little village and some of the older people in the village. Those two things really got me through that horrible time. But yeah, it did change, because then people become impatient, they became angry, they became, it dragged on, then it changed, then we were disappointed, we felt like we were being duped a lot of the time. And it was really interesting to see. I think when you've got a page with a lot of followers, you can really gauge the general feeling, how everybody is feeling. So it was interesting for me to see how everybody was, the waves of emotion.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And it's fascinating. And it's still going on.
Yeah, wow.
um, this whole book. So this is History Will Remember When the World Stopped. If you do not have this book, it's Poems from a Pandemic. And it is all filled with all kinds of poems. And it's just amazing. It's actually a very beautiful keepsake for this time period as well. Do you want to read that poem, or do you have it in front of you? Do you know it? I don't want to put you on the
Quickly
spot.
grab it. I actually think that I probably know that one off by heart, but let me grab it. I very rarely pick this book up anymore. It's funny because it seems so far away now, but like you said, I thought it would be a great thing to pop into a memory box, and a photograph album box, and just so that one day somebody can pick that up, because I tried to walk through what happened in poetry. I tried to account for how, what it was like for the kids, what it was like for the parents, what it was like for the teachers, the loss, the grief, all of it. I tried to.
Yeah, some of them are a little hard to read because it brings back such memories. But yeah, it's in the roller coaster. You talk about the roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotions, and
Yeah. And this tiny little one, as the sky became darker, the stars became more bright and often fell to the ground, a shower of brilliance, reminding us all we were in good hands. And I remember that we lived in a city at the time, we lived in Manchester, and the sky cleared a bit. The smog cleared. And at night, the stars were brilliant, and we had never seen that in Manchester. And I don't know if that happened where you were, but where we were, there was shooting stars. Now, I've never seen a shooting star in my whole life. And I saw 3 during that first lockdown, and I felt like that for me was a memory that reminded me there is a bigger thing here than your day-to-day life, you know, the sky. And the connection with Mother Nature that we all got, because we all went outside, didn't we? And the animals started coming into the city centres, and dolphins in the canals in Venice, and there was quite a lot of magical things happening.
I totally agree with you too. And a lot of families were able to be with each other again. I mean, there was you couldn't use all the, it was really different. And I definitely think I actually really appreciate this book because it reminded me that it was beautiful to begin with, you know.
I'll read this for you before I forget. History will remember when the world stopped. History will remember when the world stopped and the flights stayed on the ground and the cars parked in the street and the trains didn't run. History will remember when the schools closed and the children stayed indoors and the medical staff walked towards the fire and they didn't run. History will remember when the people sang on their balconies in isolation, but so very much together in courage and song. History will remember when the people fought for their old and their weak, protected the vulnerable by doing nothing at all. History will remember when the virus left and the houses opened and the people came out and hugged and kissed and started again, kinder than before. And in retrospect, that was rather idealistic because it didn't quite happen that way.
Well, I thought it was gonna too.
At the time, it felt so good to hope that there would be a definite end to the whole thing and we would all come out and have a party and we, you know, like the end of a war or the end of, you know, and it would be, we've done it, we're through it. But it didn't quite happen like that. But yeah, at the time, I think it brought quite a lot of hope, you know, to quite a lot of people. And I think just acknowledging that the medical staff, you know, we all retreated, we were told to, and the medical staff and all the frontline people had to go forth. And at the time, we didn't know if that was safe. It wasn't safe. They weren't safe. And it was quite a thing to behold, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Will there be a sequel to this? Will there be a follow-up book?
I doubt it. I don't know if I can go back there in my mind, to be honest. And if I did, I think I would want to sort of wait a little bit longer and see. But I do think this is probably just right the way that it is, because that was the moment in time that you would want to capture. I don't think you would want to capture all the straggly, and then they changed this rule and they changed that rule, and then it got silly, and then everybody started arguing, and you know, it was that one period of time when everybody came together that was worth putting into the history books, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a good way to phrase that. Let's see. So I heard, let's see, you believe you love words is what I understand. You love words. It's not necessarily writing poetry or poems, it's words.
Yeah.
And they carry energy, and the beauty of that and the vibration of that and the love that gets sent out with that is what I hear you offer. And I've heard you say that the right words in the right order at the right time,
Yeah.
there's nothing that cannot do.
You're very good. I've not said that often, but I do hugely believe that. That's something that, you know, I say every now and again in an interview or whatnot. The right words. It's not that I have all the words or that I'm particularly clever or talented or anything like that. It's just about taking the time to put the words that, you know, that some people may need to hear at the right time that they may need to hear it. There's a magic in that, and you can't call it, you can't make it happen, but it just depends on the person receiving it. And if they receive it in a certain way, that's when the magic happens. It's not in the writing, it's in the reception. So I'm a huge believer that words are only as good as the mind that reads them.
Ah, wow, that's interesting, because we talk about because we have these Zenful conversations. It's a women's group, a group of women we're on Facebook every day. And I just basically come live and everybody listens when they can. But we talk about living a happier, healthier life, enjoying our experience of life a little bit more. We are blessed to be here, and we all get caught up in this aggravating part of life, and that's what we try to get past, these learning tools to help us enjoy life. So we talk about the energy of our words, but I'm always from the perceiving of it's the energy that we're sending out. I've never really looked at it from that side.
If you think about it, a beautiful mind, or a searching mind, or a mind that's looking for support or comfort or encouragement will find it in words that other people might read and completely not take anything from, you know. So I always think about, when I share something and it really hits, I think about the energy that is creating. The social media shares and everything, it's not about the numbers for me. It's about, imagine that energy. If you could see that collective energy on a map, you would be amazed, you know. And I think about that and how beautiful that is, and how that one person who's read that will take that and then they will regenerate it with their spin on it, their life story, their experience, and they will then go and pass that on in a myriad ways, whether they write something themselves or whether they just share it with someone or talk about it. So there's more life being added to it along the way. So it's like a huge snowball effect. And I always wish I could know more about the people who are reading it and their stories. And people do tell me, people do write to me and tell me.
You see that, it's beautiful. It's very beautiful. People, they take their photos with the book.
Yeah.
And you write back to them, and it's absolutely, it's a beautiful thing to experience, because well, I just found your books. This To the Women is my favorite. I have not really got to know the new one yet. I wish I knew. But this one, in fact, I just read today, The Woman in My Mirror is really, really one of my favorites. But then I asked you if you would be interested and willing to do one of these conversations. And after you said yes, then I started to get to know you a little bit. And thank you again for saying yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
But yeah, your energy, the energy and the love that's in these words going out. Yeah, I mean, just amazing, just amazing. And your audience is then mostly women, yes?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's about 98%. So yeah. And then
wonderful.
The men that come to hit on the women, that's about it.
Isn't that a sign of these times too?
There's nothing you can do about that. It's on every Facebook page, but because my site is so female heavy, we get a huge amount of these bots. They're not actually even real men. They're basically people who create fake pages to try and garner friend requests to build up, so they look accountable when they go to try and scam someone. There's no actual danger in it unless, you know, you were to follow it up, but it's extremely annoying. So yeah, 98% lovely women who are really positive, and not positive, that's the wrong word, because we're allowed to be negative and we're allowed to be, you know, we're allowed to share all of our phases and our, you know, emotions. You shouldn't have to come on and be positive all the time, because that's not realistic, is it? I'm not positive all the time. But it's a really lovely group.
Well, it kind of goes along. with the energy you put out is what you attract back. So that's just really really phenomenal. I figured we would go ahead and take some questions. If anybody has any questions, you can either type it in or say it, whichever you decide to do. But I'm sure there's got to be some questions from somebody here.
I always
Be
become
shy.
blank when someone says, do you want to ask a question? I always go,
Well, I think they just wanted to hear you and how it all came across, and your energy and your vibrations and your love is so deeply felt that I think honestly they just wanted to be in this space with you.
oh,
I have a question.
Wonderful. Who is that?
Sally, I don't know how to put my hand up the other
hi,
way.
Sally, I can see you.
I'm wondering what you were talking about. I missed this exactly just about a few sentences ago. You were talking about scanning someone. What do you mean by scanning someone?
Scamming. So
Scamming. I thought you
yeah.
said you were reading them. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Scamming.
I was referring to the men that try to get friend requests on the page. I don't know if you've been on my page, but
Okay, I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Maria,
You're on mute.
You have to press your little microphone with a cross through it. That's
Yeah.
it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, this
Yep.
technology is something.
I know. We're all getting good at it though, aren't we?
We are.
No.
I was just wondering, is the latest book, I Wish I Knew, is that your latest book?
Yes.
What is that about? Is that poems too, or what is a little bit
So,
more?
I Wish I Knew is my first ever published book. So I don't know if you know that I self-publish via Amazon self-publish scheme. So my previous books are all via Amazon, so they're quite basic. Amazon have a lovely system where anybody who has a book can upload it, and after a few reviews and so on, that book, they will print it. There's no sort of cost involved. You don't, they print to demand. So if you don't sell any, there's no paper wastage or anything like that. So I was able to take that chance in the beginning and do it by myself. But as time went on, I was approached by some publishers and eventually I went with one. So this is the first one. So it's just a really lovely, proper book. It's very well made, and you know, it feels, when I first saw it, I just thought, oh gosh, you're beautiful. And again, it's poems, but this book has been written in a way that it doesn't talk to a woman of any age. The idea being that teenagers could pick it up also and not see something to put them off at parenthood or, you know, husbands or it. So it talks to the basic soul of a woman, still women. I'm not allowed to actually say it's for women, but it is for women. And it's body image, it's self-worth, it's boundaries, it's grief, it's relationships. There is something in there to cover, I think, every aspect of our lives, and written in a way, hopefully, that anybody can take some resonance from it. So I'm really pleased with it, actually. I mean, you know, like anything in life, you do something, there's always something that you would change. But actually with this one, I've not found it yet. That sounds really big-headed, doesn't it?
That's wonderful.
So
That's wonderful.
If I wanted to purchase it, what do I, if I want to purchase it?
It is now on Amazon US.
Amazon. Okay.
It's also on the Book Depository in America, which is free delivery worldwide. It's not in bookstores yet, and there is some issue with that. Now that I'm with a publisher, we have encountered tricky situations, but the good news is that I just signed a contract for 7 more books and they are all going to be in bookstores in America. It's just that relationship is just being carved as we speak.
Wow.
So, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've actually
That
got
is so
three
big.
coming out at the same time on the same day. So it's a trilogy. And one is Lost, so it's Greek poetry specifically. One is Life, so it's very much about aging and, you know, getting on in life and looking back and, you know, putting it all together in the wisdom that we carry. And the third one is called Love, which is all relationships, not romantic, you know, poetry, just any kind of love. So we've got Loss, Life and Love, and they're coming out on the 1st of October simultaneously. So that's quite exciting.
Good thing we got this conversation in now. It sounds like you're going to be busy. Stephanie Eckes.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, I love your work.
Thank you.
What I feel when I read it is your intention. The intention that you put into it, the love. I feel your intention. And I just wanted you to know that. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful.
I love to hear that. I really love to hear it, because when I write it, I think about how somebody is going to sit and how that's going to impact them, and maybe what's going on in their day. And most women, I think, at some point feel the same. We all feel the exact same feelings. It doesn't matter who we are, what particular age we are, which country we're in, what job we do. The collective consciousness of women is pretty similar. You know,
Very similar. Yeah.
We know what it's like to be the one everything lands on.
Yeah.
The emotional, the bearer, you know, the keeper of everything, the keeper of all knowledge and secrets and everybody's well-being. And it's a massive thing. And you can't tell it to a man, because if you try to begin to convey it, they start listing what they do in a day. And it's not the same, because it's a spiritual thing as well, you know, the weight of everybody's emotional, mental and physical well-being is something that we juggle with on a daily basis, and we put ourselves so very low on that list, that it's great to remind each other that actually we have to come up if we want to stay, you know, the keeper of it all. But most importantly for me, I wanted to break through that notion that perfection is important. I got to a point, I think I was about 43, and I thought, I'm not keeping up with it all. I can't keep up with it all, and I can't pretend that, you know, I'm always going to look great, I'm always going to be on time, I'm always going to remember everything, I'm always going to feel like socializing, I'm always going to be, because it's not true and it's not doable for anybody. And yet I found myself in this life where all the women were pretending, oh, life's great, you know, and actually the minute you start chipping away at that, we all start to share, don't we? Well, to be honest, last week I had a complete meltdown. I shouted at everybody in the house and I cried for 8 hours and I don't know why. And the minute you shine a light on that, it takes the darkness away from it. So it doesn't feel scary anymore. I always say it's like in the night when there's a pile of clothes on a chair in your room and it looks like somebody sinister, and then you switch the light on and it's just a pile of clothes on a chair. It's the same when women get together and they share the worst things that they think nobody wants to talk about. Once it's out there, not only do we help each other, but we start to laugh about it as well. Even the really tough stuff, there is humor to be found, and that is so healing, in my opinion. So I wanted a place where people could go, no, I'm not perfect and I'm really struggling, and that does not make me less worthy. It doesn't make me less valuable. You shouldn't disrespect me in the workplace because I'm struggling to juggle everything. You know, it's about detaching your worth from your achievements every single day. you're still worthy regardless, you know, and that was important to me. So anyway, I do tend to go off on a tangent, Stephanie, but thank you.
Great, thank you. Love it. Love your work. Love it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Karen
Thank you.
Worthman?
I just wanted to say I love the part about you, how you like the words. The words. We have an artist friend who writes on her canvas before she paints, and
Wow.
I think it comes through in her work also.
Yeah.
You feel it, the energy of the words and the emotions that were tied to them when they're released out.
Yeah.
And thank you for this time again, because you have a lot of work to do now. Thanks for the preview.
I know, and I started I just wrote a few before I came on tonight. Normally I finish at 5, but I thought, okay, I'm doing this at 6, I'm going to write a few extra ones. And I actually think I've just written one of my best ever poems whilst I was sitting here waiting to click on the link. And I don't know if it'll be perceived like that, but for me, I put it out there and I read it and I went, oh. And, you know, and I don't do that a lot. So thank you. Because I might not have written that tomorrow. Who knows? I never know. But it's fascinating about the artist who puts the words on the canvas before it comes through. I love that. I do believe in the energy of words. You attach your energy to something. Somebody else picks it up, and I can't explain that. That's not something that can be explained. That's something bigger than us.
That's part of the fascinating part about it, is it really can't be totally explained,
Yeah.
which makes it interesting in itself. Yeah, and thank you so much, Karen. I don't know, it says iPad 3 there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's Michelle.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, go ahead.
I'm
Michelle.
just so thrilled to be able to see your face. It's so funny. I don't even know how I found you, but it was just like, it was just meant to be.
Yeah.
I am so excited when I read your poems. It's like you have really taken those words and you get right down into the heart. And I've read poetry for, many, many years, but yours is just so amazing to me. It really is.
Wow.
And it's like, I share your book. I buy your book, your pink one. If I knew, I'd give those to get away as gifts all the time. And I write just little messages, and I just love sharing your work. And I'm so happy I get to see you. So keep writing. I'm so thankful for you, Jen, because now that I found you, I'm going to be watching your other little bits. But yes, keep up the good work. Super proud of you.
Can you imagine what it feels like for me to hear that? I mean, a few years ago, I thought when I first started sharing the poetry, I didn't put my name to it because I thought people might laugh at me. And also the people in my life started messaging me saying, are you okay? Because I would share stuff that, that maybe I wrote when I wasn't okay. And I had spent so many years pretending to be okay that it took me a few years to become really comfortable with going, no, I did feel like this, and I do feel like this, and I will feel like this again in a couple of weeks, and this is just, and that's all right. So to hear you say that I can't begin to tell you how amazing it is to hear someone say that about something that I've written. It will never stop amazing me, and I'll never stop being grateful for it. So thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And I've ordered your new book. It's not coming yet. I think it's on a pre-order, but it's coming. So I'm super excited.
It has been really slow in America. It's been really annoying for me because I was very clear with my publisher. They're a Scottish publisher, but they were taken over by a global conglomerate. So they were confident they could provide that, global shipment. But I do see now the ins and outs of it. It's a lot more complicated than it may seem, and they are on it and they are working on it. But it was a big issue for me at first. So I felt like I'd left out all my lovely American readers, and they were like, "Where is it?"
Well, we'll get it soon enough. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much. Juanita, did you have anything you wanted to ask or say?
Yes, I wanted to say thank you first and foremost, Jen, for having us. And thank you, Donna, for sharing your time with all of us. Your words, they resonate so much with me whenever I read your poems. And I just can't say enough about the positivity that you bring to me. I'm looking forward to the next book. And you know, I'm at a loss for words, because when I do read some of your passages, it brings tears to my eyes, because it resonates with me. How many other people are they resonating with?
Yeah.
And when you had mentioned it's the words that you bring forth, what was the very first word that got you going to sit down and start manifesting and writing, if I may ask?
I think for me, I realized that sharing was not only important but vital, and we almost owe it to each other to share. Because if you have been through something, anything big or small, and you have done that and achieved it, your story could be the thing that pulls that other person, any other person, back into life again. So I feel really compelled to share, and I think sharing, the word share, is so important to me. And I quite quickly started to reach a bit more deeply into myself and really share, knowing that the more people know about you, I used to believe it made you more vulnerable, because people do use things against you. They do. That's, life, it's humanity. But if you are okay with those things, it doesn't matter when they use them against you. If you have your own self-approval on the things that you've been through, then nobody can ever take that from you. It can't be done, once you have sealed that there. So share, women share, the two words, we are so powerful together. And my page was called Ladies Pass It On, and it was very much when women support women. And over the years, that's kind of come to mean something else, not in a bad way, but we use it in business sense, we use it in, working from home sense. And when I first began the page, I just wanted everybody to share. And we could tell each other, not only is it all right, but actually it's brilliant. Well done you, you're amazing. And that's not, it's not being trying to make people feel good. It's genuine. That's how we feel about each other when we know how difficult these things can be. But the first piece that I ever really wrote was called It's Time. And it's about a time in your life when Mother Nature appears behind you and says, right, come on now, it's time. And that was what kicked off the whole thing for me. I was at that stage in life. It was time for me to go. You can't keep going like this. You're getting no joy from this shallow, fast-paced lifestyle. It's not good for your kids to grow up in such a competitive environment. It's not good to be rushing around all the time. It's time to reevaluate everything that you thought was mattered and say, how do I want to exist now for the next half of my life? And to completely rebuild that. And I have completely rebuilt it with the help of the pandemic. That was a gift from the ether, in my opinion, because it allowed me to completely deconstruct everything that we had built without anybody freaking out, because it was happening all over for everyone. And then to rebuild it again differently. We moved to Scotland, back home. I've not lived back home for 25 years. And we live at the hills now, and everything that we do is slower and less. We don't have as much going on. We don't have as much opportunity, I guess. But what we do, we enjoy more. And we spend a lot more time together just being. And I think we've shifted the onus completely from doing to being. And it'll be interesting to see if that helps my kids when they go out into the world or not, because we don't really know, do you? We only know the way we were taught, which was go for it, get it done, keep going, strive. And I'm very much telling my kids just to be, and, feel for what they want to do, and then let that happen. And, when the time comes, put the effort in. So we'll see. But yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
interesting question. I've gone completely off on a tangent again.
It's time. It's time to write the ending or new beginning of your own story.
Mhm.
Before, thank you so much, Juanita. Before Bobette had said something, and I wanted to read that, but yeah, back to that sharing. A couple weeks ago, we had a guest speaker, Lisa Frechette, and it was about expressing your truth. And that's why it's so important for us to do that. Can we imagine if Donna did not express her truth? All of this would not be here for us. And making yourself vulnerable allows other people for sure to get stuff out of it. So yeah, thanks so much, Juanita. Bobette Marks says, thank you, Donna. She loves the expression of feelings and emotions in your poetry. Your words have and will continue to provide a sense of comfort and reflection. Thank you for sharing your process in sharing and publishing your writing. Thank you so much, Bobette. Thank you
You're so
much,
welcome.
Bobette.
Thank you for receiving it. Like I say, the writer is only as good as the eyes that reads, and I'm such a big believer in that. Everybody who takes something from my writing has given something of them to that process. Otherwise, it would just be words on a page. So thank you very much for allowing yourself to feel and resonate with it.
Bobette and I went through yoga teacher training together.
Oh, fabulous.
Both of us in our 50s, we did that.
Wow.
And Bobette is very good at being present in the moment with the just being, in my opinion, she is. She was so excited when she heard that you were going to be a guest speaker. She's like,
yay.
Sign me up.
It makes me so happy. As I say, I still can't believe anybody wants to read anything that I write.
Well, this all happened to you in the past 2 years, right?
Yeah. 4
So
books in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, has it changed your functioning of your family, or are you still able to?
Yeah, it's changed everything, because but so much changed at once. It's hard to say what changed first. I'm a big believer, as I'm sure you all are, that everything moves without you, and if you join in and help the process, it makes it easier. But it's going to happen anyway. My son was diagnosed with autism just before the lockdown, so for about 5 months prior to that lockdown, I went into a complete tailspin. Because he was 11 at the time, and so I went through his whole life, and a movie in my mind played out, and I read everything, and I berated myself, and that absolutely tipped my whole world on its axis. And then lockdown happened, and then so there was so much change that I don't know what came when, but everything has changed for us. Everything, not one thing has remained the same. We live a completely different life now. The fact that I do this job and I can support the family by doing this is something that I would never have believed if you told me that 2 years ago. My husband and I owned a business prior to lockdown, and we had to close it. It was a children's play centre, the big ball pools, the big soft play centres where kids come and run around, and we had a restaurant. So, we had to shut it. Nobody is going there in a pandemic. It's the first to go. So we sold that, but we didn't sell it for any profit because nobody was going to buy that. We sold it for the worth of the equipment. So everything has changed. Everything has completely changed, but it felt like a much bigger process, and it did not feel like anything that I did. It felt like life was simply unfolding, and we went along with it. And I think we were brave. One thing that I have always been is brave with big change. I'm not brave every day, and I'm not brave with small things. I'm quite anxious and nervous about a lot of things that other people would think were completely simple. But when it comes to big change, I can really sort of rise up. So yeah, we just went for it, and I'm so glad that we did. We're all very, very much more peaceful and happy now, I think.
Wow, that's fantastic. What a story. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see, somebody else popped in here. I just want to read what they wrote. Let's see if I can find it again. I'm sorry. Where is the chat? Come on, let's find it.
I did see a couple of comments, but
I did too. Can you see them? Because
well, no,
I
they
see.
popped up. Oh, here we go. Hold on. I can see them. Oh, so this is from, it doesn't actually say a name. In your near future, I think you should write a book called or referring to hearing like hear me, my words, my story. You are the second person to say that to me in 2 days. And the first person to say it to me said it to me in such a way that I felt like God had said it to me. Have you ever had that when somebody says something to you and it's as though you've just been delivered a message that it was the weirdest sensation? She just came up and said it to me. I was reading a thing and I felt like I had been given a citation, you know, like a lawyer's document. I felt like she was saying, okay, you are going to do this. It was the weirdest feeling.
Well,
I may just do that. I don't know if I have a proper book in me, but you never know. I didn't think I had 4 poetry books in me either. So never say never.
oh, and Annette Hansen says she has ordered your newest book and looking forward to sharing it with her literary group. I hope I do it justice in my review. Thank you for your beautiful talent. Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing it. It would not be selling if people did not take it like you have, Jen, and like you have, Annette, and share it with other people. I mean, my publisher came on board and said, we have never seen anybody sell so many books without marketing, without any advertising, without a campaign. And you know, we've never known that with all of our authors. And I said, it is the women on the group, they take it and they go like that, and then they share it with everybody, and it's them doing it. And I'm always amazed by how they do that and how passionately they do that.
It's the energy of love.
Yeah, it's something much bigger than me, that's for sure.
Yeah. But you know, because you tap in and let people know that it's not just them. They're not the only ones broken. They're not the only ones that gave too much away. They're not the only ones. And you know what? We can lift ourselves back up again.
Yeah,
we can lift ourselves back up again.
And
Are
again,
there any?
and again, you don't just, you know, it's not necessarily once that you're going to break. We were supposed to break and rebuild constantly, really. We were never supposed to stay the same. And that's why I get so frustrated with this whole she let herself go thing, you know, this whole, oh, you've never changed. And the compliments that we consider to be compliments, which are not compliments, because why would we stay the same? Why would we look the same? We're not the same. And we're not meant to be the same. And we're not here to preserve. We're here to live, and you're going to have to wear yourself out along the way. So do it in the most beautiful ways that you can imagine, because it's coming, you know, it's coming for us all. We're all here for a certain amount of time, and it's just every moment has to be savoured. That doesn't mean to say that you cannot have your phases where you are down and low, because they're important. Those phases where you feel like you're not you are important, because that's the cocoon thing, isn't it? That's the chrysalis. That's the next phase coming through. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of a constant reminding of ourselves that we're just as important as everybody and everything else.
yeah,
and just to stop putting yourself, because well, I've experienced both sides of it because I've come out of it myself, come out of in my own process of finding my own healing is how I became across this path myself. And it's really a lot better. It feels so much better when you care for yourself as much, at least.
Yeah,
I don't
of
know who
course.
SS is, says in saying that also feels confirmation to you. I apologize for trying to hide myself. Not sure what you mean by that. In saying that, I also feel it's confirmation to you. I apologize trying to hide myself. So unless that's you're in that, are you talking about the
Possibly the video camera.
sharing
Yeah.
of sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that, you know, that's totally fine with me. I'm very much a believer in energy. It's wonderful to see faces and it's wonderful to see facial expressions. And I get so much joy seeing everybody's face and your background, where I think you might be, but it's also, you can pick up on people's energy regardless, you know, so it's just nice. And if you've contributed to the chat, then, you know, the energy's there. On writing the comment on the yearbook. Yeah, no, I have taken that message to heart. I have definitely, I'm going to think about that very carefully. I've got so many books to write. I've got to hand them in by the end of June, but I'll put it on, put it on my list. I've got a month to go. I've handed one in actually, so I've got 2 left. And
Does
actually,
anybody, I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's such a joy when somebody says, make another book, because it forces you to sit down and go, what have I not said, and what do I want to say, and what do I want to put around the words that I say, because it does make a difference how you place it and how. So, you know, there is a really cathartic process now that I have a publisher who says, can I have this by then? There's something quite nice about that. I like it. Does anybody else write?
Oh.
Any
I put together
journalists?
my classes.
Cheryl, do you journal, or do you write stories or poetry, or you don't have to tell me? I'm nosy.
No writers, no writers. Well, I mean, I
Cheryl,
think there's some journalers.
Yeah.
I journal for sure.
Yeah.
I lost my husband last August to
Oh,
COVID,
sorry to hear that.
and then I lost my dog in March, his dog in March. So it's been I've been writing. So
Yeah.
I write to him actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very cathartic. It's very
Yeah.
good. Very good. And I have to tell you, I never ever liked poetry. Even when I was in school, like poetry was just not my thing. But the way you write, I hear. I hear.
See, I don't even know if it's poetry. I don't, because so many people who buy the books don't buy poetry or read poetry. I don't read poetry. Again, it's back to the right words in the right order. I don't think about the stanzas. I don't think about what type of a poem is this. Is it, you know, I just deliver it from my brain to the page in the way that I want you to read it. And hope for the best, and that is as technical as it gets, and I have no training or qualifications.
It's you're probably channeling, so just keep doing it.
Probably. But when people start getting all technical with me about poetry, I'm completely lost.
Right. No. Okay. I like it. But I do journal.
Good. It's such a healthy thing to do.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because it's your heart and your mind need it so much. You know, we know that we need exercise if we're feeling low. We know we need it for our heart. We know we need it for our blood. We know our body needs it, but our mind and our soul and our heart needs that exercise. It's exercise. If you're talking about
it's a great release. You know, like I have a conversation with my husband, and now I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Yeah.
I'm just a huge believer in that whatever you write is being heard as well by who knows who.
I actually had a question. My question was, did you have some education to do that? Because I've been writing poetry and things my whole life, but I don't know if I would have the courage to do what you're doing.
And that's the difference between a poet and a poet. is that some poets are known because they, at some point, they've just gone and put it out there,
Mhm.
I've done that. And
Yeah.
then there are so many talented poets who they just don't know how to break down that, because it does freak everybody out. People go, what are you doing that for? And what does that mean? Do I need to check in on you? Are you having some? But once you get past that, so I told everybody in the beginning, I said, it's a business. People started asking me, are you all right? You know, you writing this stuff on the internet for? And I just said, oh, I'm thinking about launching a magazine again. It's a new business. So, you know, don't worry about it. Just, it's not me. I'm just writing it for women. And that was how I got through that initial head down period, is just by pretending it wasn't me.
Yeah. Well, you know, that happens with change, any kind of change, even if you change starting the way you eat, they ask what's up with you,
Yeah.
you know, so there is that, but it was born out of love. That was your love offering for the pandemic, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
And it just went on from there,
But I've always written, Cheryl. So when I was at school, I wrote a couple of things that were published in the local paper and so on. So I know that I've always written from the heart. And then I became a singer-songwriter. So for me, it was not so much about the music as it was the lyrics.
Oh.
It was always hugely important to me. And I did actually have my own album, and I did get signed as a singer-songwriter. And I didn't make it. I was chewed up and spat out by the music industry. And I had it in my brain that I was put on this earth to furnish the world with my music. And I remember thinking, I will die if I cannot do this. And back then there was no internet, so you couldn't get your stuff out there. You had to have somebody make you an album and sell that. There was no way of getting it to people. And I just felt so passionate that it was the lyrics. I wanted the world to hear the words. And it only occurred to me about 6 months ago that it's happened, and that sort of 19-year-old me would have been ecstatic to think that I didn't even need the music.
Right.
I just needed the words.
Yeah, I think it's music that brought me to it as well. I'm a music teacher.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, music and words just kind of go together. But
You
it's
do
just
it-
always been a hobby, you know.
Yeah. Well, Cheryl, you need to just put it out there, and, you know, put it out without your name on it, find a place to share it, and then you'll quite quickly it'll gather speed. And because it can make people feel uncomfortable when you overshare. It can. People do, you know, go, oh God, what's she doing now? You know, and these are not the people you're writing to. The people that you're writing to will somehow happen upon it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there are Facebook groups for people who write. In fact, I know that there are, for people who write poetry, and you can send it to me. I mean, you know, you must do that and just see. Do that and just see, because such a shame not to share it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
My focus is on the music side.
Yeah.
But I like to do it just, you know, for the release. For the release more. It's
Yeah.
like therapy, right?
And it's talent, and it's a talent that people really appreciate, especially with the music. You know, that's why entertainers exist. That's why music is such an important thing, because so many people cannot do it and value it so highly that when people can do it, when people can play or sing or create music, it is a beauty to behold. We're all in awe, aren't we? I mean, I sit there, and my best friend is the most amazing opera singer, and you know, the emotions that she can create with, you know, with her voice is unbelievable. But you must share. It's such a shame not to share.
Thank you.
I want to be definitely respectful of your time, but
Oh yeah,
we are hearing the word share. I've heard the word brave, and definitely energy of love is all over this conversation. Oops, lost my other ear. Hold on one second. So, but yeah, I definitely want to be mindful of your time.
Yeah, the
So
time
thank
just
you
flies,
again
doesn't it?
for taking time out to be with us today. Is there anything else that you would like to leave everybody? Anything that, I don't want you to get off and say, oh, I wish I would have said that. Is there anything on your heart that you want to leave with?
To be honest, Jen, I've no idea what I've said and what I haven't said and what, because I have just conversed and I have just talked. That it's not as though I've prepared anything or, you know, had any. So hopefully something that I have said somewhere along the way has been of I don't know, enjoyment or use or importance. But if not, it's just such a joy to see you all and spend some time, because I don't get to see anybody. And, you know, it's one of the downsides of social media is that I wish I could see everybody's faces and know who you are. I could quite happily sit and find out who everybody is, because I'm always so curious. So it's a pleasure. It's such a pleasure.
Well, you
Thank
just know that you are always welcome back. You are
Yes.
always welcome back. I will get all of Donna's contact information, all of her groups, anything that you can connect with her with. I will put it all together in an email, and that email will probably be sent out tomorrow to everybody that registered. So even the people that were not here in person will be able to watch your beautiful words. And thank you so much again. Thank you for sharing your
Have a
love and your
lovely
energy with
afternoon.
us.
Is it about 2 o'clock over there now?
It is here, but we've got a couple people in different places, but absolutely.
Okay.
So in gratitude and so much love.
You too. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank you, thank you.
Every single one
Thanks,
of you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Stay well.
See you all again, hopefully.